Dynamic, articulate, perceptive, courageous, outspoken.
Welcome back to the dojo. Once again, we got another reaction for y'all. This time, kid railroaded after cop profiles him and then dies. I was looking at the thumbnail and it was saying that the cop had a heart attack while he was in the process of profiling him. I'm not really sure what to think or how this is going to play out in a court of law, but let's go ahead and get into it. This is the Civil Rights Lawyers channel. We're going to react to this and see what's going on.
There's something going on in Florida that you should know about. This 18-year-old Hispanic kid gets confronted by a police officer even though he's doing nothing wrong.
Stop! Okay, but why did you get up and walk away? Huh? When you saw me, you got up and walked away. Why?
Yeah.
Why? Where are you staying? Sleeping?
Yes, I am.
Here?
Yes.
Well, why aren't you eating inside? Do you have any ID, an identification, license? ID, identification.
He probably don't even really speak good English. You know what I mean? I got a little something to eat. I'm going to enjoy while I'm watching this. Please don't get grossed out or get offended because I'm just a little hungry right now.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to eat off camera.
Okay, what's your first name?
Huh?
Your first name?
I'm sorry, I'm speaking.
Okay, do you have any weapons on you?
Huh?
You have any weapons on you?
No.
Well, you know what that is. Turn around, let me look. Turn around. Turn around.
No.
Don't walk away from me.
No, sorry.
Don't pull away from me.
And that then leads to a physical altercation. Afterwards, apparently the police officer had a heart attack, and now they're trying to pin it on this 18-year-old kid who didn't even speak English. I was made aware of this situation by Jeff Gray from...
Give me a second. I'm gonna eat my food and get back to it because I feel like I don't need to be doing this. Let me go ahead and pause this. Yeah, I just had to fill my stomach up. I feel a little bit better now. I can react to the content a little bit better. Oh, Crash Out Queen, while Doechii has suddenly become hated. She was never really liked anyway to begin with, but we're going to get into that. That's going to be another reaction. Let's continue with this kid railroaded after cop profiles him.
Rights investigations, and unfortunately we don't have the full body cam footage yet because they have not released it, but we have this interaction which is extremely important because they charged this kid with resisting an officer with violence and aggravated manslaughter of a police officer because, like I said, this officer subsequently died apparently of a heart attack. So let's go through the footage that we do have and see what it shows. But first, the sponsor of this video is Ridge, and they've sponsored so many of my videos now that every time somebody recognizes me from YouTube, people ask me about Ridge wallets. And yes, I actually use one myself. I will pull it out of my pocket and demonstrate it and try to sell them to random strangers. I spent like 30 minutes at a fundraiser last weekend showing the bartender and bystanders my wallet and why they need to get one. Right now I'm using the new Hyperline color, but there are 30 plus colors as well as leather if you prefer that. And I'll tell you what I told them. Now's the time. If you want a huge discount, use my link. Go to ridge.com/TCRL and get up to 30% off through December 20th. This is my go-to gift because it's like giving somebody a life hack. They're just so much better than the traditional bulky wallet. They hold everything you need. They cut out the clutter. There's room for 12 cards plus cash. These wallets are made with RFID blocking materials to protect your cards from digital pickpockets. Plus, give your Ridge wallet gift along with a matching key case key holder, which holds up to 6 keys. It keeps your keys from jingling and gives you something to hold on to when using your keys. Buy it together with the wallet and get 30% off. This wallet has over 80,000 5-star reviews and each one comes with a lifetime warranty. You can send it back for a full refund if you don't love it. Plus, why not support a company that supports the content that's important to you? Again, use my link at ridge.com/TCRL and you'll get up to 30% off through December 20th. Also,
was not expecting an ad plug, but it's okay. I don't really like the fact that he's reading off a screen, a prompter, instead of just memorizing his lines or just jump cutting or whatever the hell they do these days. Yeah, I'm not really a fan of that. Just speak from your heart, bro.
So using my link, you can enter your email/SMS for a free chance to win a Ridge bundle worth $4,000, no purchase necessary. Thanks again to Ridge for sponsoring this video and the channel. Now let's get back to the video. This was the body cam footage of 52-year-old arresting officer St. Johns County Sheriff's Office Sergeant Michael Kunovich, who subsequently collapsed and died of a heart attack following the struggle that happened here. The kid's name is Virgilio Aguilar Mendez, an 18-year-old who later confirmed that he feared being deported back to Guatemala. He was charged.
Okay, so it's just as I thought. He don't really speak good English, and he probably wasn't aware of what the cop was saying to him or what the cop wanted him to do, but he knows that cops are no good, for lack of a better term, and he's here illegally, maybe, possibly, allegedly, and he knows that he got to get away from the cops anytime they anywhere nearby because he don't want to get deported. Okay, he probably shouldn't be here in the first place, but if the kid didn't attack the cop or do anything to the cop and the cop just passed away because of a heart attack, he probably has serious health issues that he neglected for a long period of time. You know what I mean? We don't really know the whole story. We just can only go by what the civil rights lawyer is saying to us or telling us in the video because we don't have the full footage. And we did see that he stopped the kid and tried to get him to turn around, but he didn't do anything wrong. You know what I mean? He just tried to make distance from the cop, and the cop thought that was suspicious, so he wanted to profile him and then do whatever he thought he was big and bad enough to do. But if you're not in good health, you probably shouldn't be an officer. That's just my 2 cents.
The aggravated manslaughter of an officer and resisting an officer with violence. He is currently, according to the last media report I found, being detained without bail. This incident happened on May 19th at about 9 p.m. when Sergeant Kunovich saw this young man in the Super 8 motel parking lot on Florida 16 next to a closed Howard Johnson hotel in St. Augustine. This is according to the arrest report.
Stop! 422 St. John's. 10-12, 7-13 P. Hispanic male, white t-shirt, black shorts, Super 8 third 16, 3576 should be 54 to me.
Kunovich determined that, in his opinion, it was suspicious, and he began to question him, though there was no call for service. The closed Howard Johnson surprisingly did not call and complain that this guy was walking through their parking lot.
Stop.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
Okay, why, when I was driving around,
Yeah.
oh, stop.
Eating.
Okay, but why did you get up and walk away?
Huh?
When you saw me, you got up and walked away. Why?
Yeah.
Why?
You meet me here, I go for drinking.
Where are you staying?
Huh?
Where are you staying? Sleeping?
Yes,
Here?
yes.
Well, why aren't you eating inside?
I'm sorry.
What?
I'm sorry, speaks.
Okay, I've got some comment. Okay, do you have any ID? An identification? License?
Fine.
ID, identification.
Yeah.
In the room?
Yeah.
Okay, what's your first name?
Huh?
Your first name?
I'm sorry, speaking.
So when the officer attempts to grab and pat the kid down, Aguilar Mendez resists and a struggle ensues. Other deputies arrive and a taser is used in an attempt to control him. Now, these are the words of the media report from the Florida Times-Union. I'll post at the link below. Continuing on, while fighting on the ground with the deputies, Aguilar Mendez grabs the taser to try to take it away or to stop them. They get him handcuffed, but he still retrieves a folding pocket knife from his shorts pocket. This is according to the police report.
Oh.
Shortly afterwards, they disarm him. Then Kunovich collapses from medical distress. And that is the official report here. The sheriff's office said that the struggle lasted about 6 minutes. About 3 deputies were involved in securing this kid, who his attorney pointed out is 5'4" and weighs 115 pounds. The sheriff, Robert Hardwick, said during a news conference that Sergeant Kunovich did everything by the book and that Aguilar Mendez was trespassing. Quote, all the suspect had to do was comply, Hardwick said. They didn't voluntarily give this body cam footage to the reporters when they requested them. And I wonder why. What does the body cam?
Well, you know why. They're trying to cover up what happened. They're trying to pin the death of this officer on this kid. Because they're going to say, well, if he wasn't walking around, the cop wouldn't have stopped. And I don't want to hear none of that. If you got bad medical health and you're trying to be an officer, you know that you're putting your life in danger. Just one, for putting on a badge. But then you putting your life in danger because you're not in good medical health. You're not in good physical standing. So when you get into a tussle or altercation, your heart rate goes up and your heart explode or stop working or whatever it is. Like, bro, if you are not in good health, you do not need to be in a job like that. You need a desk job, buddy. But he's no longer here. Sorry if I'm being callous or unfeeling, but I gotta be honest, bro. This is my platform, so I'm gonna say what I feel. You can say whatever you want in the comment section. I don't block comments. You're free to express yourself. That's what my channel is for. You can say whatever you want. I'm not gonna block you. But I just feel like it's more to the story that they don't want to tell us.
Cam actually show?
Okay, do you have any weapons on you?
Huh?
You have any weapons on you?
No.
Well, you know what that is. Turn around. Let me look at that. Turn around. Turn around.
But no.
Don't walk away from me.
No, sorry.
Don't pull away from me.
First of all, you can see that the officer grabs Virgilio's right arm, which is holding a cell phone, apparently talking to his mom on the phone, and the officer yanks Virgilio's right arm backwards, basically says the whole stop resisting line. Don't pull away from me. Well, he didn't pull away from me. You very clearly can see with your own eyes that the officer is the one who pulled Virgilio's arm backwards.
Turn around.
But no.
Don't walk away from me.
No, sorry.
Don't pull away from me.
Let's set aside the fact right now that there is no justification under the Fourth Amendment for the officer to even detain Virgilio at this point, much less grab a hold of him.
See, and cops always do this because people don't really know the law. They don't really know what cops can and cannot do. So they just assume that the cop is telling them to do what they're supposed to do. But a lot of times, cops, they'll push the borders and boundaries of what they can do just to simply get an arrest because they got a quota they got to meet. They got a quota they got to meet. So ultimately, at the bottom line, it's just big business. It's just big business. And most of these prisons and jails are privately owned. And they get a certain amount of money depending on how many people are locked up in that jail overnight. It's all about the bottom line. It's all about the almighty dollar. It ain't got nothing to do with who's right, who's wrong, your rights, their rights, my rights. It don't got nothing to do with that. They trying to increase that bottom line and get them quotas up. That's what it's about.
And search him. But wait, you ask, does the Fourth Amendment even apply to illegal aliens? Does the officer have a loophole here? The Fourth Amendment does apply to illegal aliens, migrants, immigrants, whatever you want to call them. It does have some limited application in, say, border searches, things like that, other areas of the Constitution. But here, under these circumstances, yes, the Fourth Amendment does protect Virgilio, even though he's from Guatemala and is not legal at this point.
I'm checking you for what? Get your hands away from your...
No.
Stop!
No.
Stop!
No. I'm sorry.
Okay.
So here are my thoughts on this. While it's tragic that this police officer died, they can't just pin his death on this 18-year-old kid, even if the initial stop were justified. But let's look at the initial stop because
See, I agree with the lawyer here. Now, the lawyer, he knows his stuff because he's a lawyer. And if you just happen to collapse and die because your heart can't take it, that's on you, officer. This kid had nothing to do with your medical issues or your health problems. And you probably knew you shouldn't be trying to chase after this kid. But it's probably the pride and the ego of the Leos where you can't allow anybody to get away. You know, that's how they get down. So I don't feel bad for the officer. because officers every day take people's freedoms away. They push the borders and boundaries of what they can and cannot actually do. And they know that most people are ignorant of the law. They don't know what they can or cannot do in these particular situations, because nobody's really well read on law except lawyers. Even cops sometimes make mistakes not knowing that they cross the borders and boundaries of what they should do. They feel like they gotta get this arrest, and they're gonna do whatever it takes to get it. It's a dirty game, bro.
I believe the lack of any legal justification for this encounter to begin with throws the whole thing out. A police officer must have reasonable suspicion that some crime has occurred in order to seize somebody under the Fourth Amendment for what's called an investigatory detention. So where a police officer is forcing somebody who's walking down the sidewalk or a parking lot to stop and give them his ID, or a police officer is grabbing a hold of somebody and searching them, that is a seizure under the Fourth Amendment. So at the very least, to even stop him and forcibly compel him his ID or his information, that requires reasonable suspicion. And then to grab a hold of him, pat him down, and search it, that's more of a Terry stop, a Terry frisk. That requires reasonable suspicion and also probable cause to believe that the person may be armed and dangerous. Here we have none of that. How is this not just a racial profiling incident? The only allegation of reasonable suspicion is that it was a suspicious person. Now, there was no call. This kid was a tenant at the Super 8 Motel. Now, this did not occur at the Super 8 Motel property. It was next door at a Howard Johnson that was closed down. There was no call for service. So the only allegation they have is that he looked suspicious and he was trespassing. Well, there was no call, there was no complaint about trespassing. There are no indications that this property was like barricaded off and the kid like jumped the fence or something like that. No, he's just walking to his hotel room, talking to his mother on the phone. What makes him suspicious? What they don't want to say is perhaps the skin color. So therefore, with no reasonable suspicion that a crime has occurred, this kid never should have been detained.
See, and I like that he's breaking this down, because it's a learning experience for anybody who may not be familiar with how cops do business, how cops get down. So now, if you're looking at this and you're really paying attention, you could say, well, I'm not being accused of a crime. You say I look suspicious, but I'm just walking from this place to my hotel room. I'm staying here in this hotel room. And the kid didn't even really speak good English. So he's taking advantage of that as well, that the guy doesn't really speak good English. You know, I have my hang-ups and I have my feelings about cops, but I try to stay as far away from it as possible. If I don't need to be outside, I'm not going to be outside, because that's how you get arrested. You get arrested when you outside. You don't get arrested in your own home unless somebody calls the cops for like a domestic disturbance or domestic violence case or something like that. Just stay in the house and you'll be good. That's what I like to do. I like to just stay in the house because I don't like interacting with cops. I don't like being around them. It's just the whole energy is different when they're around, bro. Everybody's on their P's and Q's, trying not to be suspected of anything. We just trying to get on our way and get on home to get out of sight of the cops. Get out of the sight of the cops, because they ain't nothing but trouble. And you're going to get into trouble if they get a hold of you. That's how it goes, man. I try to stay far away from them.
And once he's detained, we have the language barrier problem. So the officer just immediately escalates the situation completely unnecessarily. I would imagine that there are resources for this officer to communicate with somebody who doesn't speak English or doesn't speak English well. But instead, he just completely escalates it. And you know what? That is perfectly consistent with the fact that this guy ended up having a heart attack. And it's just sad what they're trying to do to this kid, to railroad him and make him a scapegoat for the unfortunate death of this police officer. And the one thing that can stop this from happening is public exposure. So that's why it's important to share this video, to share this incident.
Oh, you ain't gotta worry about it. I'm gonna share it as soon as possible. I'm about to go ahead and finish up the editing for it, and I'm gonna go ahead and post it on my YouTube channel. We see that it's the Civil Rights Lawyer channel. This happened a year ago, though. This was a year ago. This happened, so I guess it still needs more exposure because it came across my desk. So yeah.
Which is why Jeff Gray sent it to me and said, broadcast this out here. And you know what? I think police officers sometimes should stop and think, you know what would Jesus do? What would Jesus do in this situation? You know what? Jesus would protect.
I don't know why he's bringing God and Jesus and religion into this. Cops take an oath. Cops take an oath when they get that badge. And I'm pretty sure that oath don't care nothing about your religion. If somebody commit a crime, they going down. If the cop think you committed a crime or think you suspicious, that's good enough as committing a crime anyway, because it's their word against yours. And you can't fight the law, especially if you don't got a lawyer.
The vulnerable among us, the lesser among us. He would protect those people. He would not act like you act, to confront this person and to question them, to accuse them, to grab a hold of them, to use violence on them. You know what? Police officers, they should act a little more Christ-like, in my opinion. So share this, get it out there. Let's stay on top of this one. So follow along, both at the blog, thecivilrightslawyer.com, and here. Remember, our rights don't end where your fear begins. Freedom is scary. Deal with it.
Yep, I completely agree with the civil rights lawyer. I'm pretty sure he knows his stuff. That cop was in the wrong, and maybe by some chance of divine intervention, God said, you know what? Your time's up. Get on up here. Or get on down there. I don't really know. I'm not the judge, the jury, or the executioner. I'm just somebody reacting to the content that came across my desk. So, hopefully you enjoyed this one. Professor Hawk signing out. Hawk Sensei bids you adieu. I hope you enjoyed this reaction, guys. Toodaloo.